Good morning, Kritika.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing today?
Good, sir.
Yeah, you can take off your mask if you want
you
to.
feel so.
If you feel
Thank you
comfortable,
so much.
please do. You're welcome. Can we have a conversation about the legal system in the country?
Yes, sure.
What are your thoughts about judicial overreach?
So when it comes to judicial overreach, I think there have been certain instances where the judiciary might have overstepped its boundaries, and but there also are equally cases where judiciary has shown judicial activism. For example, in cases of Article 142, in order to do complete justice, Vishakha guidelines being one of them, and certain cases, for example, solving the Ayodhya verdict as well. So there have been cases of judicial overreach, but the judiciary has also balanced this with judicial activism as well, I guess.
Judicial activism is what you would like to call it, or would you like to call it overreach?
I would call it judicial activism. In
Okay.
certain cases, judicial overreach has also happened.
Here's a scenario. Two
Yes.
things like that actually happened.
Yes.
I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes.
So the infamous Godse incident and 4 bullets were fired, but 3 were recovered. A case was filed by Subramaniam Swamy in the Supreme Court of India.
Yes.
The matter came before the Supreme Court and they gave it a year and they said, okay, let's listen to this matter.
Yes.
Another case was filed about the Kashmir exodus of 1990.
Yes.
One of the judges was the same judge.
Yes.
He said that this is too old, these are all
Yes, sir.
old cases, let's not hear it.
Yes.
And I don't want to get into this.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts?
So, unfortunately, it would be a case where there have been inconsistency as to what the judiciary would have to interpret. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that it happens in all the cases. The judicial activism cases specifically can't be.
Let's leave out judicial activism
Yes,
and
sir.
outreach out of the picture completely.
sir.
This is a different question.
Yes.
This
sir.
is a scenario I'm putting in front of you. These are the two cases.
Yes. Sir.
One, the Supreme Court says that it's a cold case which happened in 1990.
Yes, sir.
One which happened so many more decades before that.
Yes,
The
sir.
Supreme Court says, let's hear it.
So, unfortunately, it would be a case of inconsistency that we've also been seeing in various Supreme Court judgments. So, that would be my take on the same. And it's important that the judiciary has certain principles laid down when it wants to reject a particular case or it wants to accept a particular case. This being scenario that you've given would be one case and example. Judiciary needs to have certain principles in mind when it rejects or accepts one case.
Do human emotions take over the judiciary also at times?
So human emotions are an important part of any human being, and I'm sure it would also be coming in the mind of judiciary when it is giving any decision per se. But the judicial precedents, I think, helps to overcome those emotions and remaining within the confines of constitution, specifically constitutional morality per se. I think, and ensuring rule of law would help judges to get over with the emotional part of the same.
Okay. Do we have a data protection law?
We do not have as of now, sir. The draft is in the offing, but we do not have a data protection law as
How
of now.
long has it been in the pipeline?
So 2018 was when the data protection law
Is there a
was
need for a data protection law?
I think, sir, there is a need for a data
Why
protection
haven't we
law.
gone through with it? What are some of the fundamental issues?
So a number of issues have come up. For example, the right to be forgotten is one aspect of the same. Whether we should have a complete right to be forgotten, whether the data should be deleted or whether it should be just removed from the websites or from any intermediaries per se. That is one aspect which I can think of right now. And the second would be about fixing the responsibilities of the data fiduciary as well has also come into picture. So these are the two issues that I can think
There is a
of.
concern that has been raised by a certain section of society that it gives overreaching powers to the government.
Yes. sir.
What would you say about that statement?
So regarding the overreaching powers, I think there are provisions which talk about when can the government access that particular information. That being the case of national security, that being the case of preventive detention, or in cases where it is important to get the information. If a person is dying or is a person meets an accident, then information can be extracted in that manner. So I think there are certain safeguards which have been provided for in the data protection law itself. We certainly need more discussions on the same as to balance both privacy as well as security. but there are safeguards which are in the data protection law, I guess.
Okay. What is an impeachment,
Yes.
and what constitutes the need for an impeachment?
So, in terms of judiciary or
Anything,
President,
whatever
any
you think, whatever you think about it, you tell me. Who can be impeached?
Sir, in the Indian Constitution, it is provided that there can be an impeachment motion for the president and for judiciary also. Impeachment means when after a motion is passed in the Lok Sabha as well as in the Rajya Sabha, a particular higher official authority could be removed, and that is what is meant by impeachment.
Has anyone been impeached?
Sir, as far as I am aware, nobody has been impeached. Proceedings have been initiated. For example, there was judge of Supreme Court. Proceedings had been initiated, but no judge or president had been impeached in India so far.
Final set of questions.
Yes, sir.
This pendency of cases is a big problem.
Yes.
Every now and then, the Supreme Court is talking about it,
Yes.
members of the society are talking about it, the government is talking about
Yes,
it,
sir.
but no one seems to be finding a solution to the problem.
Yes, sir.
What is the number of pendency of cases in the higher judiciary?
Yes, sir.
What is the solution to the problem?
So, as per the National Judicial Data Grid, it's approximately 2.9 crore cases are pending, and the number is still increasing when it comes to the higher judiciary. And coming to the second question of what should be done with regards to the same, a multi-pronged approach, I believe, is necessary today. The first would be from the subordinate courts, it is necessary. That is, finding out the problems such as infrastructure is a major issue in judiciary. So that needs to be solved. For example, the CJI has also suggested National Judicial Infrastructure Authority of India could be formed. Secondly would be the proposal of All India Judicial Services could also help to ensure that there is...
All India Judicial Services. Now you brought that up.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Yes,
was
sir.
about to ask that also.
Yes.
You brought that up. I didn't say anything about it.
Yes.
Where does the matter stand?
So the matter still hasn't seen the light of the day. It is still in consultation. The Law Ministry is
Then
mulling over
why
it.
did you even mention it?
So I
you
think-
know, having I think your father, who's in the judiciary.
My father. Yes.
Exactly. So you would have first-hand information and first-hand knowledge about these things, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do you think that it's even a possibility?
So I think it is. It could be a possibility.
It could be.
It could be a
So the
possibility.
pendency of cases only keep piling up till it becomes a possibility.
So it's one of the reforms that I believe that if it can come up, it can really help in removing the pendency of the cases and can also attract a lot of talent in the country when it comes to judiciary. So can I move to the next?
No, thank you very
aspect of
much.
it? Thank you so much, sir.
You preempted it by saying it about talking about the All India Judicial
Yes,
Services.
sir.
But I read somewhere that more than 50% of the high courts
Yes, sir.
have objected to it.
Yes, sir.
Can you think of any logical, rational reason as to why they objected? Or is it that they lose their discretionary power?
So I think that
Loaded word. Eh?
I think that would be primarily the reason. The high courts have objected that their autonomy could be lost while they are superintending the subordinate courts. So that could be one rationale as to why the high courts
They
could be
lose
objecting.
their discretionary power.
So I think so that could be one reason as to why the high courts
So
have
high
been
courts are
objecting.
not interested in merit.
So, yes. So
High courts are not interested in merit.
oh, no, sir. I didn't mean to say that. Sorry.
Hmm?
No, sir. Oh, obviously not
Because
that.
All India Judicial Services will
Yes,
be
sir.
premised on the principles of merit and professionalism.
Sir, it would be, but I think the concerns of the High Court and the state governments are also legitimate in that sense. That we need to really work upon that. One would be that because earlier it's a state system now. We have Haryana judiciary, Punjab judiciary, and other states have their own set of cycles, and they come up with their posts accordingly as per their needs. That could be taken
All
up
these are
away with.
practical issues which can be resolved.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
we'll move on to a different field.
Yes, sir.
You belong to Sonipat, Haryana.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's where you stay.
Yes, sir.
Now, Haryana government has recently in the industrial
Yes,
field
sir. Yes, sir.
brought about a slightly controversial issue which is under litigation.
Yes, sir.
Which is it?
So the 75% reservation in the private sector.
So-called domicile.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, what are your views on it?
So I would not agree with the Haryana government's decision in this regard. So first,
Quite. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
so it would be because I think it does not meet the requirements of the Constitution. Firstly, that is Article 16, which says that the state can make certain provisions in employment, but it could be for
State
public.
can do it.
So the state, as in the state, would include various aspects. It could be the government
And
of
the
India.
State, by state you mean the state as an entity or state government?
So state as an entity, like the definition of state under Article 12 of the Indian Constitution. So in that
If
situation,
I'm not mistaken, it's only the central government who has the powers.
so the state
Under
as in,
Article 16.
so it would be an entity. The Constitution specifies.
Just kindly check it up for
Okay,
your future reference.
all right, sir.
Go ahead.
So I think it wouldn't fall under the canons of Constitution. Firstly, that is Article 16, where it could have been done for public employment, but not for private employment. So that could be one reason. And secondly, sir, I think the Haryana government could focus upon would be more employment opportunities and skilling the youth, and not coming up with a penalty on the private sector itself that they have to employ 75%. This could lead to.
But has it not been done in some way or the other by other state governments also? Poor Haryana government is getting the blast.
Yes, sir.
A lot of other state governments have done it also.
So I think Andhra Pradesh government has also done the same, and the matter has also been challenged and is pending before the Supreme Court on the belief that the constitutional requirements are not being fulfilled. So it's all
And you
the
personally
governments.
feel that it is not a good move.
I do not think that, sir.
You had won in the national essay competition.
Yes, sir.
What was the topic?
So the topic was the critique of the Rajbala judgment that had come up. The Rajbala judgment, if I may elaborate,
Please.
it was with regards to the Haryana Panchayati Raj Amendment Act that was done, wherein it was provided that educational qualifications and certain other qualifications are needed at the local level for the local panchayat elections. And I wrote a critique, and the Supreme Court had ruled in favor of the Haryana government, and I had wrote a critique on the same.
And what was the main, just in
Yes, sir.
about 1 minute, what was your main point which you had mentioned in that critique?
So my main point here being that educational qualification first, since the state government does have the power to prescribe any qualifications, but education per se, because it is not only education which could help us to determine between what is good and what is bad. So imposing this penalty on the people that unless and until they have this requirement, they cannot stand for the local panchayats. I had a critique about that it should not have been
Are you
a
aware
criteria.
that in the Constituent Assembly debates,
Yes, sir.
there was a lot of
Debates on this.
debate over universal adult franchise?
Yes, sir.
Did you also brought that as an argument also?
Indeed, sir. I had mentioned that.
That is highly relevant.
Yes, sir. So I.
Because on the same logic, voting right should not be extended to.
Yes, sir. So I had brought that point up, and I had said that right to voting and right to contest, though they are different concepts, but they are interrelated. When it comes to the Constituent Assembly, there were debates about whether there should be
Can I ask
literacy.
you a bit of a controversial question?
Sure, sir.
Democracy as a system has to evolve.
Yes, sir.
In India, it was imposed.
Yes.
What would you like to say on this? It's more or less something related to what you are saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can I take a moment to gather my thoughts? Yes, sir. So, democracy as a process evolves and is imposed, is what you've said. And I think when it comes to the Indian Constituent Assembly, they provided a structure to us that this is what could be the path of Indian democracy. And it would be for the people and for those who are at the helm of affairs to now shape the future. Providing a structure as to parliamentary democracy was what they had done, and ensuring free and fair elections.
After more than 60 years, how do you think the structure is? If you have to,
Yes, sir.
in my favorite scale of 0 to 10,
Yes, sir.
how would you evaluate, being a law student
Yes, sir.
with such a rich background, how would
Yes,
you
sir.
evaluate the performance of the Indian democracy?
So it would be approximately 6.5
That's
to
not
7.
that's not a very appreciative.
Yes, sir.
What are the negatives?
So the negatives would be in each aspect of the institutions that we have emerged. For example, as Sir asked about judiciary, the judicial pendency is one reason as to why I think democracy has been lacking on that aspect. So when
Judiciary, let's keep it away when we are
Okay.
evaluating, if you don't mind, democracy.
okay, sir.
Democracy is basically of the people.
Yes, sir. So first would be about the system of corruption that still is prevailing in the country. That aspect is why I would give it a 7 number. And second, I think a system of accountability still hasn't emerged in our Indian democracy. So that is.
Would you not like to
second.
say that caste is a stumbling block to a perfect democracy?
So that
I'm just
would be-
giving a hint to you.
So that would be another reason that caste-based system and caste-based issues are still plaguing the country.
Were the Americans very conservative that they gave the voting rights to women as late as the 60s?
So it could be thought that Americans were conservative in that sense, that they thought that women still are not at par with men. But when it comes to India, I think our Constituent Assembly had that vision that it's time that we break those notions of patriarchy that have always held women back. So Americans could be called conservative in my view.
When you were defining, one last question on judiciary before
Yes,
I
sir.
move on to another. When you were talking about judiciary, all
Yes.
the time I heard the word judicial activism.
Yes.
A normal work of judiciary, you are terming it as activism?
Not in all work, sir, but I think there are certain aspects where
I've got
judiciary
you.
has.
I mean, I thought there was a. Now, coming to one or two other aspects.
Yes, sir.
I read a piece last night only
Yes, sir.
that ruble has emerged as the strongest currency in the month of March.
Yes, sir.
From the economic, you've done economics till
Yes, sir.
class 12.
Yes, sir.
How would you analyze this statement?
So as far as I can understand why.
And why did it happen?
Sir, in my limited understanding, it could be because of more purchases being done from Russia when it comes to oil countries still being there, being Russian-Ukraine crisis, and it was expected that it might come down. But I think the oil imports and energy imports from Russia had not come down to a great extent. So that could be one reason that I can think of right now.
Can there be another reason that the sanctions are not working the way they are being talked about?
So that could be one reason I think I might have missed out. That could be one.
Acha, the age of marriage
Yes.
was increased from 18 to 21
Yes,
by
sir.
legislation.
Yes, sir.
What are your views at it as an educated lady?
Yes, sir.
What are your views on it? And especially here, I would like you to speak it in the rural context also.
All right, sir. So the first thing, I think bringing gender neutral laws is important, and that is what the legislature did by increasing the age of women from 18 to 21 years of age. And now secondly, talking about the rural context, I think undoubtedly we cannot say that because there could be an increase in the number of marriages.
Should gender be neutral in all things? I mean, what
Yes,
do you
sir.
mean by gender neutral? Just because the age of marriage for boys is 21 and therefore the girls should also be 21? Just, I mean, is it simply X is 1:1 and 2:2?
Okay.
Can there be not physiological reasons?
So certainly there can be, but I think here what we are missing, what we might be missing upon is that doing so has certain consequences. When we have 18 and 21, we are not equating them, but there are certain consequences. The first one could be that by getting women married at the age of 18, we are denying them the opportunity of higher education, while their secondary education could be completed, but higher education requirements due to marriage, in some cases it could be allowed by the family, but here we are making a difference as to a man could complete higher education, but a woman might not be able to due to marriage restrictions.
By any chance, did you have a chance to look at the paper today?
I did, sir. I did.
Was this mentioned? Smriti Irani, Minister for Women and Child Welfare.
I didn't come across this particular news, sir. And on health issues as well, sir, I think reproductive health and general health when
Should
women.
it be done by legislation? My last question.
Yes,
Should
sir.
such an issue be done by legislation beyond a point? beyond a point.
So I think it should be done by legislation, because these are social reforms which can be imposed by the legislature, because I think legislature shows us the way that this is how we could move as a society.
Just
So I
one
think-
last question. If the
Yes, sir.
social reforms are so
Yes, sir.
radical that it is going against the basic social mores of the
Yes, sir.
rural society,
Yes, sir.
will there not be a conflict? My last question in one line answer.
So there might be conflict, but I would answer it saying that fundamental rights to each and every person should be ensured. It is, even if then social modes would come into picture, constitutional morality, that should trump over social morality in all cases. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Kritika, D.D. Basu, you heard second rank holder at,
Yes, sir.
yes?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell something about his contribution?
Yes, sir. Sir, D.D. Basu was a great jurist, and especially in the field of constitutional law. And it indeed is the first book that we as law students read when we are introduced to the field of constitutional law. So that was primarily his contribution about constitutional law and his commentary on the same.
So when we read constitution through other sources,
Yes, sir.
and when we read D.D. Basu, what
Yes,
is the
sir.
difference? Because you had law
Yes,
as
sir.
your graduation level, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell me something about that.
So I think the differences which I have found is, first, it's a very simple understanding for a student who's just entering into the field of law, where he or she could be terrified by the technical jargons that exist in law. So he had simplified a lot of concepts as to what do we mean by state, fundamental rights, all of these big terms which for a first
Okay.
year.
I understood. You have written in your that strength training
Yes, sir.
and meditation. So what
Yes.
is this strength training and how do you do that?
So strength training involves a number of exercises wherein we are moving a particular muscle, or it could be a group of muscles as well. And it has several types to it. It could include weight training, aerobics, cardio exercises, and at the same time calisthenics, which is moving heavy muscles. So it's a group of exercises that I do in strength
Okay.
training.
Good. Now moving to some other areas.
Yes.
Many people say that post-COVID,
Yes, sir.
a new world order is emerging.
Yes, sir.
So is this Russia-Ukraine war
Yes, sir.
is linked with that?
So can I take a moment?
Yeah, please.
So I think in this matter, it could be said that a new world order in terms of Russia-Ukraine crisis could now emerge. Firstly, it could be that the Cold War ideology that earlier existed, that could also emerge once again. It's also the rise of countries like India, which have carved out, I guess, a diplomatic space for themselves, which is separate from what the West is saying or what the East is saying. So a new world is emerging in terms of the West and East, and the response specifically to the same crisis, I think.
So what do you think that Russia invaded Ukraine? You agree with Russians' point of view or you agree with Ukraine's point of view?
So here, since I would maintain the stance of neutrality here, as the Indian government has also done. When it comes to, and one thing I think I'm very clear about is,
So when a country invades other,
Yes, sir.
you would prefer to remain silent and
Uh,
you don't speak up in favor of justice or injustice against, right?
yes. So I think what I want to clarify here is that my point would be that if there are issues, they should be solved in a peaceful and amicable manner, and that is by mediation, and that could be also by the good offices of the United Nations. But invasion in any case would not be justified in any manner. So here, whether Russia is right or whether Ukraine is right in terms of it being it was a genocide as Russia has claimed, or Ukraine saying that it is invasion of their territorial sovereignty or political independence. I think the reason of that could be still debated, but the matter to how to pursue it is always in a peaceful and an amicable manner under the auspices of the United
Okay,
Nations.
moving to another area, you heard about Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Yes.
What is that?
So Atmanirbhar Bharat aims to make India self-reliant in all fields possible. Could it be economics, education, all fields.
So how to achieve that goal?
So what country recently did, I think, is a mark of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Exports, focusing on exports and ensuring Make in India happens first. That is important.
So you're talking about promoting more manufacturing units?
Yes, I think India hasn't done very well when it comes to manufacturing units. It is still 16% of our GDP, and the aim is 25% of GDP. I think if we could
Why
ramp
don't
up.
we focus more on service industry, where we have more ratio in service as far as GDP is concerned,
Yes,
and
sir.
we have more potential
Yes, sir.
in service industries. And instead of going for manufacturing,
Yes, sir.
why don't we prefer on service
Yes,
industry? And second,
Yes, sir.
which service industry you can think
Yes, sir.
that India should focus more?
Yes, sir. So services sector, I think we already have a leverage, and we've tried to exploit that potential as well. When it contributes today to more than 50% of India's GDP, we also should be looking at those sectors when I talk about manufacturing, in which we haven't been able to exploit our potential, and we've been importing a lot. And it, especially being manufacturing, I think a lot can be done, especially textile
But
sector
it's very
happens to be.
time taking and very heavy investment required.
So the government is providing incentives such as production linked incentives, and where FDI is also being invited for the same. And I'm sure that if such incentives are taken, manufacturing can also ramp up. The
Oh.
exports also show. us
My
the
last
same.
question,
Yes.
is Haryana changing? And if it is, what are the indicators?
So indeed, Haryana is changing. Firstly, I would take the social aspect of the same. In terms of improved sex ratio today that we have, it was around 843, the last sex ratio that was done, and today we've reached to 920 per 1,000 males. So that certainly is happening in terms of promoting girl child and girl education. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao has been the flagship program that the government is working upon. And in terms of education, I think the government is making a lot of strides. We have Rajiv Gandhi Educational City being developed in Sonipat itself, which is going to be the largest educational hub. And in terms of industry, I think number of steps have been taken so that, and the potential of being in the part of NCR region is also being exploited. We have industrial hubs and industrial estates.
From where this Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Yojana started? Which district?
So I think it was Panipat, if I'm not wrong.
Why? What was the reason behind it?
I'm not very sure, sir.
At that time,
what the
lowest
reason-
sex ratio in India.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ms. Kritika.
Yes, sir.
So, as what sir asked about you, the Sonipat.
Yes, sir.
So, the Sonipat is part of NCR.
Yes, sir. Sonipat, yes.
Is there any advantage meted out of by adding the Sonipat region to NCR?
So one advantage has been that, firstly, as I mentioned, the development of education has improved a lot. That being seen in the times of Rajiv Gandhi Educational City came up, because since it's proximate to Delhi, it's easier for the students also to come. The transport connectivity happens to be the major reason.
What is the
And-
main mandate of constituting this NCR?
Sorry, sir.
What is the main mandate? Why there was a need felt that we need to create a national capital region?
So it was because I think first the population density of Delhi was primarily the reason. So as to reduce the pressure of Delhi, there were certain areas that were constructed, and NCR happens to be that region. So as to remove the pressure of Delhi.
So, what is the role of NCRPB? This planning board, National Capital Region Planning Board.
Planning board.
Is there any, contribution by this board in managing the affairs of the NCR?
So I'm not fully aware of this.
So, but what are the problems that we are confronting as on today by NCR region?
So
Tell
one.
me 2-3 problems that comes to your mind.
So the first would be the problem of pollution, happens to be the first one. Second is also a lot of restrictions which are imposed on Delhi or certain regions in and around Delhi. Sometimes also are extended to the NCR region as far as cities like Rohtak. So that the government is saying could stall the development. And so these are the two issues that I
So
can think
considering
of.
this pollution, government
sir.
has started some meaningful commission. What is the relevance of the commission? Is there any contribution by the commission in controlling and preventing the air pollution?
So Is it the new commission that you were talking about? So the new commission, I think, over the previous commission that was mandated, first because it's a statutory commission, I think as far the how it performs is something that will have to be seen.
Yeah, we heard about CAQM, Commission on Airport
Yes, sir.
Management.
Yes, sir.
See, what I'm asking, there are a lot of commissions, there are a lot of tribunals, there are a
Yes,
lot
sir.
of courts.
Yes, sir.
But what is the relevance? Is there really meaningful contribution to the society, or it is just adding on to the many other commissions just for sake of convincing the judiciary or convincing
Yes, sir.
the policy makers? Is there any significant activity taken by the commission in controlling the pollution? What is your perception after this intervention,
Yes,
after
sir.
this commission's
Yes,
activities? Is there any pollution level has been controlled?
So I think in one sector that I can think of could be the construction aspect, where the construction dirt, firstly, that was a major contributor to the pollution, and in and around, I think during Diwali and after that also, there has been a control on the construction pollution that comes out of it. I think that is one sector that I can think of right now.
What is the relevance of tribunals in environmental jurisprudence?
Yes.
Are you feeling something they are doing?
So there would be a mixed response to the same. Specifically for the NGT, while has given certain landmark judgments, but the power of not having an enforcement mechanism, I think, is one major issue that is with NGT, and most of the times the orders are not complied with. So that could be one problem with that commission.
So you are from Sonipat. I think your mother from Barnala.
Yes, sir.
See, as a person from Tamil Nadu, by
Yes, sir.
hearing this name Barnala,
Yes, sir.
one great personality comes to my mind.
Yes, sir.
Could you be able to tell some great, political person from that area?
So around that area I'm aware of, not specifically Barnala. The Punjab's chief minister happens to be from around area of Dhuri.
Have you ever
Which is
heard
near.
Surjit Singh Barnala?
So I've heard, but I'm not.
He's the CM
fully
of
aware.
Punjab. He was a governor of Tamil Nadu,
Alright.
Andhra Pradesh, Andaman Nicobar Island, and even Uttarakhand.
Okay.
He's a great personality, combination of CM as well as the governor.
So I wasn't aware.
Anyhow, you have mentioned that you are on committee on recruitment affairs in your
Yes.
college.
Yes.
So just tell me, by sitting as a member in the committee, what
Yes.
are the career prospects for the law graduates?
Yes. So the career prospects have now increased manifold as it was, I think, 2 decades back. First, it could be work. A corporate culture has now developed in law field. Earlier, there was no corporate culture per se. Secondly, it was now law policy firms are opening up. To give an example, Vidhi Center for Legal Policy happens to be one of the policy firms. Third is, as was also existent, interning with various senior advocates and being employed by them. And now they're also going to pursue their higher education abroad and working out and
Just
at
tell me the
international
profile. How
forums.
many, out of your total
Yes, sir.
graduates, how many are pursuing career in the legal side?
Yes, sir.
How many people are planning to pursue career in civil services or
Yes, sir.
non-governmental organization,
Yes.
or people are going to politics?
Yes, sir.
So you have any rough idea?
So I indeed have a rough idea. So out of a batch of 180 students, we had approximately 90 students who sat for placement and were placed by the Committee on Recruitment Affairs. And after that, around 20, as I know of now, they've pursued higher education. And a number of them, some of them are now a part of civil society, and some of them, like me, are now aspiring to be civil servants.
Okay. Presume, what is your order of preference if Indian Judicial Service is there in the list of services mentioned in the tab?
Yes, sir.
So what is your preference, order of preference?
So I would have.
Presume that the service has been constituted, Indian Judicial Services.
Yes, sir.
So what is your preference?
So I think my preference would remain the same as is shown, but there could be certain changes. First would be Indian Administrative Services. The second could be Indian Police Services. The third could be Indian Judicial Services for me. And should I explain the rationale as to
No,
why?
no issue. So you mean to say you still prefer to become an Indian Administrative Service and
Yes.
Indian Police Service rather than Judicial Services?
Yes, sir.
why you preferred the Group B services over the Group A by seeing your preferences.
Yes.
The DANIX and DANIMS you give preference over
Yes,
the
sir.
other Group A services.
Yes,
Is there any
sir.
reasons to it?
So, as I was filling out the detailed application form, I was trying to also look at the work profile of DANIX and DANIPS and happened to somewhere match with what I could get as an Indian administrative officer or an Indian police officer. And I think it also provides more diversity of work opportunity in terms of work profile. So that happens to be the reason why I put DANIX and DANIPS
So you
above
preferred
others.
a work profile than a pay package or the hierarchy in the system.
Surely, sir.
And one last question. So, and you have been part of this district legal service authority.
Yes, sir.
See, generally there was a saying, right?
Yes, sir.
The free legal aid does not mean poor legal aid.
Yes, sir.
So, substantiate what is the perception of the community or society on this particular.
So, as you mentioned, free legal aid does not mean poor legal aid. That could be because of certain positives and negatives of the legal aid. So, first has been ensuring legal awareness and legal rights to a lot of people. And second would be providing Nyaya Bandhu app has been launched recently, wherein legal services are being provided. But the problem is here that quality legal services are still an issue which needs to be provided to the poor people, and at the same time still ensuring that quality justice is provided. For that, pro bono litigation has come up as an important curriculum aspect in the law schools today. So I think legal aid could not just be mean poor legal aid, it would mean quality legal aid soon in certain years now.
Okay, good. So, you are assisting the DLSA in giving the quality legal aid.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are the 3 statutory mandate
Yes, sir.
of this authority?
Yes, sir. So the first one would be providing legal aid. Second would be legal education has to be provided to the people as well as they go to the law students as well, so that they have more practical dimension.
Literacy, spreading the legal literacy.
Legal literacy. And the third would be Lok Adalats, national Lok Adalats, state Lok Adalats. So that is also one of the mandates.
How can we identify the people to whom we are going to do the service? Is there
Yes,
any
sir.
criteria mentioned in the Act?
So it is done on the basis of a specified group. For example, if it is women, there will be certain sort of legal awareness camps
Is there
just for
any
women.
group that has been left out in this identification as per your perception?
So in the act, I'm not sure of, but I think one where we need to work upon would be transgenders. That I
Already
think.
transgender is there in the
So-
identification.
So I think legally that is. I'm just saying that we need to more reach out to the transgenders. So that is what I'm saying. I think they are still
I'm
not aware.
asking, since you are assisting the
Yes, sir.
DSLC, have you ever thought that this particular group has been still deserved portion that has to be added in the deserved list?
No, sir. As of now, I can't think of.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kritika. Your interview with us is done. Okay, all the very best.
Thank
Do
you,
well.
sir.